Hello, everyone. How are you? It's a great day. Welcome to the Meals on Wheels Conference and Education Center, our parking lot. It also serves as dry storage, as our delivery zone for every day, and earlier this morning it served as command central for packing and getting volunteers out on the road for our home delivered grocery program that we do in conjunction with the San Francisco Food Bank. If nothing else, we're creative here at Meals on Wheels and really committed to meeting the need. We are ridiculously honored to have Mayor Ed Lee with us today to share with you what I know, which is this is not the only day that he's with us. He has been with us every day, fighting for seniors, working to make sure that nonprofits in this city can stay in this city, working to make sure that we're able to maintain our business models. But the truth here is that without our partnership with the City of San Francisco, the Department of Aging and Adult Services, we simply would not exist. And as we know, Meals on Wheels has been threatened across the country. Some people think we don't really matter, but this city does. This city knows that to be a whole city, then we must be here, we must meet the need, and we must really respond to this growing crisis of people aging without the support they need. So Mayor Lee, your team, Shireen McSpadden from Department of Aging and Adult Service, Trent Moore from HSA, the folks in the Office of Economic and Workforce Development have been amazing working with us on our building solution. So we're really, really grateful to have you here today. As I mentioned, 50% of our funding comes from the city itself, and we're very proud of the fact that we match every dollar with private philanthropy, and that allows us to serve 2 meals a day, 7 days a week, and ensure that no one waits longer than 30 days to get services that they need, and that's too long. So we know that there are people who need to be served in emergency fashion, and we make sure that they get served generally in 2 days, but definitely no longer than 5 days. You know, this need continues to grow, but just in the last 10 years, we have grown from making out of this kitchen 523,000 meals a year to 2 million. Let that sink in. I refer to it as the miracle kitchen. I don't think when the board in 1989 set out on this path with this facility that they thought it would ever, ever produce 2 million meals a year. But here we are, and we continue to make it work. You know, most people know what we do. We make sure that homebound seniors can stay in their homes, and we provide them meals and services to do so. That's the bulk of our work. But in addition to that, we also serve people who are under 60, who are very much homebound. We partner with the food bank, as I mentioned, on the home delivered grocery program, and almost 300 people are touched by that program a week. And most recently, in response to a request from the city, we are now providing the meals for the city's navigation centers as we move people from streets to housing to sustainability. And we're very proud to be a partner in that. And obviously nutrition is an anchor to help make sure that they're safe. But in all of our work, and you can see on our vans, our goal is to nourish the whole person. It's not just meals, it's not just wheels, it's all of the things we do to back that up, including social work. I wish I could say that we'd done our job. I wish, but that's not true. We know that this need is going to continue to grow as people age in the city, and frankly, it's a very expensive city to live in. Just to give you an idea of the growth, by 2037, there'll be 100,000 more seniors in San Francisco. A big number, the big number. And so we're working to make sure that we can do that. And one of the things that we know is that we can't stay here. This kitchen will not carry us forward for many more years. So one of the things I'm pleased to announce today is that the Board of Directors of Meals on Wheels of San Francisco is engaged in a capital campaign to build a new kitchen in the produce market area at 2230 Gerald. and on the back end of that, to update this building. Now, you're all here, pull out your checkbooks. We need to raise $35 million. I can share with you that we have collected $11 million thus far in just the first few months. But there's a long way to go. And what this new facility will allow us to do is to do as the board did in 1989, ensure this need is met for the next 3 decades or more. And we're very proud to be able to do that. You know, in closing, before turning this over to the mayor, you know, the challenge of homebound seniors is invisible. They're in their homes. They're living right next to you. You may or you may not see them. We see many other problems in the city, and they get a lot of frankly, voice. Our job is to make sure that we let people know how seniors are living alone. We have 2/3 of our seniors who live alone. 80% of Meals on Wheels clients, listen to this, live on $970 a month or less of income. Think about you doing that. Think about it. And we know that 56% of the seniors in all of San Francisco are living below the California Elder Economic Security Index. And we know that 29% of them are living below federal poverty. So we've got work to do. And we're lucky that we have someone working beside of us every day. Every person that reports to him works beside us every day to make sure that seniors are not invisible, they're not isolated, and they have the supports, meals, and services they need. So it's my honor to welcome Mayor Ed Lee. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you for your leadership here at Meals on Wheels, everybody, right here. Yeah. I am overjoyed to be standing next to the drivers whose faces have smiles as big as the ones on their trucks. And I love these trucks. I love these when they go around the city because they remind us of the people we serve. They remind us of all the faces that I get to see when I go to a senior center or a family center, or now these days, Ash, a navigation center, where I know that food is as basic as housing and healthcare in this country. And you know, shame on our country that in the time of need, that they would sacrifice food and shelter and healthcare for somebody else's benefit and not for the people of America or the people of San Francisco. I'm glad that I have agencies that really are working at their top level to do this, whether it's our Human Services, our Department of Aging and Adult Services, our Office of Economic and Workforce Development. I really need all three of them working so collaboratively with agencies like Meals on Wheels to make sure we're getting to everyone. Because the need is not lessening, it is actually growing. It is growing with economic inequality, it's growing with the cost of housing, it's growing with the aging of our workforce as well as our population. And so we'll need everybody's cooperation as this campaign continues, but we're in it from the beginning. $19.7 million in the next 2 years is what we're spending to make sure that meals get to everybody. You know, the nice thing about what the board of directors has done and Ash has done and the drivers do is it's not just a meal that suddenly appears in some drone in your window or something like that. It's actually being delivered by real people who have made that, and we're making that connection to people who are isolated, families are underserved. 64% of all the meals that are served are for seniors in this city. And that human connection is as important, making that connection so that if there's something that's happening, you're there to also make that extra call. I know everybody's got a cell phone. They can make that extra call if somebody's in need for other things. You know, we've lost sight sometimes, and you hear about it a lot when people are just doing the internet thing. I think human connection is one of the most important things, particularly for our seniors, that we need. I learned that from Shireen McFadden and all her agency heads in the Department of Aging and Adult Services, is that we need more centers for our seniors. We need activities to allow them to really live full lives. And we need the city to really have a collaboration that breaks down all of our siloed efforts into a much more collaborative effort. So I think I'm understanding even better now as I grow into my senior status that the needs are much more plentiful and the city needs to be even more sensitive to do it. I really say I'm gratified to Russ Flynn's leadership. I've known this guy for ever since, guys, I was a young attorney suing everybody, that he's come along and really provided his business talent to this wonderful, important organization. I also want to say that it's not just the food, it's not just delivering the connection. You have 3 nutritionists on this site. We have nutrition professionals in our senior centers advising people on healthy eating habits because that's what we really need is more healthy eating habits and really have the city connect up. I think something that Gavin Newsom taught me many years ago is don't ever forget our farmers as well, which is why it's really great to be next to the produce market because that's where a lot of the food is brought into the city in a very productive way. If you walk through this kitchen, you're looking at a pretty massive production center. I want to thank Valley for their efforts here. They're one of the nation's leading food producers, and they're at the heart of what we're all doing. And by the way, Ash and Russ and others are doing a great job because Valley and all their deliverers, a great percentage of them are San Francisco residents doing the work for San Francisco residents. That's another great story. All in all, I'm just saying it's not so much about the money. Money it obviously reflects a serious commitment on the city's part, but it's the embracement of understanding what the challenge is and meeting that challenge. Because I know that the cuts in the federal government and the state government on food and the inability to articulate this need in a national sense is what's going to fail us if cities like San Francisco don't step up. I want to be the articulator of this country's need to pay attention to our growing population of seniors and people in need. This is what mayors are supposed to do. And I am going to be unabashed in making sure that my fellow mayors across the country embrace this, to make sure that the food and nutrition programs are at the heart of what we do as mayors. I want to make sure the U.S. Conference of Mayors adopts this as one of their highest priorities, along with ending homelessness and building more affordable housing and the health care. This has to be at the front of everything that we do. I want to brand what Meals on Wheels is doing into a citywide, if not a regional-wide conversation with my fellow mayors and say, let's do it in a very big sense so that technology companies and chambers of commerce adopt this as part of their going forward about how they can help cities succeed even more and how they can make sure those that are the most in need get at least nutritional meals every single day. This is, I think, at the heart of what we are supposed to do as public servants. I'm glad to do it with an organization like Meals on Wheels, who gets to spread happiness all over our city and do it the right way. So a great day to celebrate, a wonderful way to spend the taxpayers' money, to have those benefits go right back into the community and to help the people that need it the most. This is a wonderful organization. Let's all continue to help them succeed. Get a new building, get a bigger building, meet more needs, and make sure we're doing it all in the right fashion. Thank you very much, Ash. Yes.
Well, in taking off one hat, which is Meals on Wheels San Francisco Executive Director, and putting on another hat, which is Chair of the Board of Meals on Wheels America, I take you up on your offer to spread the good word that we're doing here in San Francisco, because it's not the same. I mean, we need to understand that other cities, other states don't have the same philosophy that everyone needs to be taken care of, or understand a very basic principle. Look, it's a moral choice to invest in seniors and keeping them in their home, but it's a smart choice. One stat I'll share with you. We can provide a full year of service to one client for the cost of 1 day of intensive hospitalization and 10 days in a nursing facility. Why on earth would we not put dollars into keeping people in their homes where they want to be, and to make sure that as we talk about healthcare reform, that we're doing smart things, not dumb things. And so that's what we're working on nationally to do that, and I'm happy to talk to people offline about what we're doing to make sure that everybody, bipartisan, bicameral in Washington, supports the Older Americans Act, doesn't cut CDBG funds, understands that this investment is the smartest thing that we can do, and I will absolutely take you up on your offer to work alongside of us. You know, the mayor would agree with me in this statement that, you know, we have the luxury and the honor of serving at the top of organizations, but we don't do the work. And I just want to stop real quickly and acknowledge all of our social workers, all of our administration, all of our drivers, all of our volunteers, everybody who does that work, because they make me look good, your team makes you look good, and it really makes our mission whole. I'm very proud to announce or to introduce Russ Flynn. As the mayor said, he's been in the city working for a very long time, and frankly, I would not be sane without people like Russ around me. And he has been around this organization for more than 3 decades. He's currently president of our board and also the co-chair of our capital campaign. So it's my pleasure to introduce Russ.
Thank you, Ashley. I'd also like to acknowledge Jose Allen, our former president and current board member and co-chair of the capital campaign. Also, I believe Veronica Juarez is here, and Susan San Giacomo, who also serve on the board. I want to add my thanks to all of the staff, drivers, everyone that makes it possible to serve 4,000 people a day in San Francisco. Just think about that. 4,000 people are in their homes because of Meals on Wheels. Makes it possible. Mayor, I want to thank you personally because, you know, I came on this board 8 years ago. And at that time, I think the city was contributing about 40% of our budget, which meant that Jose and I had to work a whole lot harder to go out, and Jessica Sweedler, to raise the other 60%. And we were at a crisis point. We could not continue to grow because we couldn't raise 60% of our budget every single year. We had reached our limit, but under your administration, you've stepped up and become a full partner and made it possible for this organization to grow. And it made it possible for us to take the next step, which seemed pretty brave, but now I think it's pretty manageable. We've acquired a site not too far from here where we're going to build a 40,000 square foot kitchen, which will be able to generate enough meals to serve, I believe, for the next 40 to 50 years, the need of San Francisco seniors. I personally have been involved for about 30 years, about the time I met you when I was on the rent board. And I'm a landlord in San Francisco, as the mayor knows. And I don't think you actually ever sued me. But anyway, it was one of the most heartbreaking problems, owning buildings and housing seniors who suddenly couldn't leave their apartments. They couldn't go shopping. They couldn't go out to a restaurant. And in those days, you didn't have a cell phone. You couldn't just call somebody. And most of them have no family whatsoever. Many of them had no friends whatsoever. And so the only recourse was to call senior services, ask them to move them out into a nursing home, as you say, at about 10 to 15 times the cost of where they were living, probably even more than that. With the advent of Meals on Wheels 30 years ago, suddenly there was a solution. These people could stay in their homes, meals brought to them 5 days a week, and enough left over for the weekend that people were they're in their homes until they die. They don't have to be moved into rest homes and somewhere else. Anyway, we're looking forward to the campaign. We're looking forward to the mayor's help, perhaps introducing us to a few people we don't know that might have some money laying around. And thank you all for attending.
And to kind of wrap up our press conference here, I really want you to be able to touch this mission a little bit. I want to bring up Christy Hirsch, who's been a social worker here for as long as I've been here, which has been 10 years this month, and probably longer. But there are hidden heroes in this organization, and it's not just Christy, but a team of 13 in the social work department who work every day to make sure that people have the connections, the support, and frankly, the heart that they need to be whole. And so I'm really proud to introduce Christy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to say I appreciate the opportunity for you allowing me to speak today and share some of the stories of our clients that I have learned over my past 13 years here as a social worker. I would like to share with you the story of Maggie, who worked for Walgreens for 34 years and scraped together the money to buy one of the first homes built in the neighborhood known as Little Hollywood. And she still lives there today, very proud of her home, but due to her arthritis, she is unable to manage the stairs down to her front door anymore. So the Meals on Wheels has helped her to stay in this home and to be there and to be safe. There's also Walter, who was raised in the California foster care system. He never learned to read or write. He worked odd jobs in construction for his whole entire life. And now he survives on an income of SSI at $870 a month, and his rent is $700. His only human contact on a day-to-day basis is his driver, Jim, who he is very close friends with. There's also Justine, who was a union waitress for her whole career, working in all the hot clubs in San Francisco until she became debilitated by serious rheumatoid arthritis, is now bedbound and relies on other people for everything, even to feed her. And lastly, there's Harold. He's a veteran. He worked for the post office for his entire life, and he lives in his childhood home where he grew up by Crocker, Amazon, the home where he cared for his own mother until she passed away. He has leukemia. He has a niece and a nephew that stop by when they're able, but they live out of town themselves. And he raises the shade on his bedroom window every morning to signal to his neighbor that he's still alive. These are people who have worked hard their entire lives, who have never asked for help, who have very few people they can turn to when they do need help. They are constantly forced to sacrifice, trying to decide which medications they can afford to purchase that particular month, not using their lights, not using their heat unless it's absolutely necessary. Meals on Wheels, they say, is essential to their survival. No less than that. These people who have worked so hard their whole lives, but have become invisible to their neighbors, invisible really to their community. We need to see them. We need to reach them, and we need to know them, because there are so many more out there. It has always been and remains at the core of the mission of Meals on Wheels to do just that, and I am so proud to be a part of that mission. Thank you so much.
I think you now see what makes this organization special is that all of the people that Chrissy mentioned have someone that knows that they exist, that they have contributed, and that we're going to be there for them. So I couldn't ask for a better job. I mean, I just couldn't. And I'm very honored to be here. Again, I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here, but I really want to thank you again for putting food security, the Food Security Task Force, the issues of seniors through the Dignity Fund on the top of the agenda of the city. It just doesn't happen everywhere, and I hope that you know how much we appreciate it. Thank you so much. So thank you all for being here. I'm sure some of you need to go back to work, but thank you so much for supporting this mission every day. We always have a task for you to do, so just ask.